Today I'm going to be going through the basics of powder coating and how easy it is actually to powder coat in your garage. Today what I got is just kind of a makeshift setup here, just to kind of demonstrate what's going on. I got this piece of metal here we're going to powder coat, and then I've got a dual voltage powder coating gun here. And the actual gun is right here. And it's a pretty basic setup here. We got the canister right here by my hand. We have a moisture trap right there, and then below it I have a pressure regulator. And that pressure regulator, usually I keep my pressures pretty low on that, usually around 5 or so. Reasoning is when you're flowing the powder, if it's too high, it just wants to just push right off the part. So I keep that fairly low there. So the first step that I do, if it's a brand new piece or if it's a bare piece of metal, it's pretty clean. Then I don't sandblast it usually. I just make sure it's roughed up and that the powder will cling to it pretty good. But this is a fairly new piece here. So what I typically do is use like a pre-prep system like this. This is an aerosol can, something like this. I'll hose it down good. Get it cleaned up there, and then typically I'll let it either dry or it's called outgassing. And what it does there is if the metal has been kind of in contact with like oil or grease, what you want to do is you want to pre-bake the part to make sure to get all that oil or grease baked off of it. So what I'll do in this case is I will go over my old trusty oven in the corner there. I'll set the oven for 400, 425 and bake that part for probably 10-15 minutes or until it stops smoking, just to make sure there's no grease on it. So we'll head it over to the oven and then we'll be back. Alright, now we got the part baked out here. Got it all set up on the rack. Typically, like I said, I have a nice powder coating booth when I'm doing this in season, when I'm doing a lot more parts, but it's kind of the summer now and kind of a little makeshift setup here. So what we'll do is I got my ground clamp up here. I usually want to get that as close as I can to the part without touching it. So I got that clamped on good there, so we have good contact. So we'll have good electricity flow through the part there, and we'll start shooting some powder here. In the system, it's a dual voltage, so it's got a low voltage setting and then it's got a higher voltage setting. So right now, I got it set on the lower voltage. Smaller parts, typically I'll run the lower voltage on it. So we'll get a good cloud rolling here and see if she got some clingage going. So typically I'll get a nice cloud rolling. It's really humid right now, so it's kind of thick, but the closer you get to the ground, the better cling you have on it. So try to get a nice get her nice and coated, get a nice cloud going. And then kind of a little trick that I do too, just to make sure I get the part fully coated, is I'll use just a little flashlight, just make sure I got no light spots on it. So just gonna keep going here until I get a nice once you think you got her good and flowed out or good and coated, we can head it over to the oven. And typically with this powder coat here, most powder coats are anywhere as they want to be baked, anywhere as 400, high 3s to 400, 415, 420. So what we'll do here is we'll get the part, we want it to flow out, so meaning we want it to melt, and then after it kind of flows out and melts, we want to maintain a consistent temperature around 400 for 10 to 15 minutes on it. So we have a good curing process, so it actually has got good strength to it. You can overdo it if you get too high in the temperature. It'll kind of turn it cloudy, So you want to kind of watch the temperature so you don't get it too high. So we'll head her over to the oven now and get things rolling. All right, so we're fresh out of the oven here. I've let the part cool down, and end result's really good. Get a nice float out part here, nice and black. No runs or fish eyes in it. It looks pretty gosh darn nice. So that's how simple it is to powder coat in your garage. Like I said, I have a nice little booth typically, so it don't make a big mess like I did there. But that's the principles of it. You can do many different colors, and it's fairly inexpensive to do. So that's all I got for today.